wolves. They're fierce animals at the top of the food chain. They hunt in packs as a strong, cohesive force, a unit, a group of predators in the wild. Unless they're in the West Midlands, in which case they need the jail time of a different set of predators. It's not been long since we saw Portugal's under-23s representing the West Midlands in Europe. Wolverhampton Wanderers even made the latter stages of the Europa League 1 campaign with stars like Ruben Neves, Raul Jimenez, Diogo Jota and Adama Traore. These lot were so good that a then 21-year-old Vitinha and Morgan Gibbs-White were seen as backups. Fast forward to 2025, Vitinha's just finished third in the Ballon d'Or rankings. Morgan Gibbs-White is highly rated, though locked in Mr. Marinakis' sex dungeon, and Wolves themselves are facing a very different basement battle. They're currently sat at the foot of the table on 2 points from a possible 16 matches. So it really does beg the question, what the hell is going on at Wolves? Before this one starts, massively appreciate if we get this to 6,000 likes. Just massively helps with the algorithm and making sure you guys still see the content that we're producing here. And of course, make sure to subscribe as well so you don't miss anything. I'm not gonna lie, 2 points in 16 matches in the Premier League is actually raucous. I know Wolves fans don't need to hear this yet, but how do you not even win a game by accident? They haven't even played some of the difficult games yet. They're going through a difficult run right now. They played all 3 promoted teams and lost to every single one of them. If they keep this up mathematically, they're on course for 5 points this season. Imagine 38 full 90-minute matches, and by the end of it, you can count the amount of points you've got on one hand. I think of Wolves, right, as, you know, obviously recently getting into Europe, but even when I was young, they were still flirting with the Premier League and obviously the Division 1 as it was called then. They were chilling with their classic orange and kit sponsors of Doritos. They've got less points than a Dorito at the moment, bro. They were drawn against Shrewsbury Town in the FA Cup recently, and they tweeted that they were looking forward to welcoming the EFL outfit to a match against them in the cup. Yeah, you'll be playing them in the league soon enough, guys. I'm being deadly serious. In fairness to them, they were actually really unlucky against Arsenal. Top of the table, it took 2 own goals for the Gunners to defeat them over the weekend. Lost 3-0, scored all 3. Technically speaking, they should be walking away with the 3 points, mate. They absolutely battered Arsenal here. Look, this is a great day for me because I'm seeing that Arsenal are maybe the real deal in this league race all of a sudden, even though they had injuries. As for Jamie Carragher, he'll be frustrated knowing that Wolves, they're coming for the one record that he has, and that's own goals. Someone said that Wolves can't score, so they've took that personally and scored 3 at the Emirates. 2 of them, again, were in the wrong net, but we didn't specify. But on the flip side, just the week before, or on Monday, the week before, we saw them concede maybe the worst goal. The worst goal I've ever seen in association football in an absolute slapping against Manchester United. Rob Edwards had a very simple team talk for his side after conceding 4 goals to a team managed by Ruben Amorim.
I just want to get this off my chest. Y'all are trash.
And realistically, that's been more representative of the story of their season rather than the Arsenal game. It's no surprise that some people think these lot are just an esports team, because they ain't playing actual sport well this season, I'll tell you that for free. Kanye West once went on record suggesting that he wanted to fix Wolves. Personally, the state of disarray this man would be in if he tried to do that on his own, different story. Imagine being a Tottenham fan, knowing that you delegated 50% of this team's points to them this campaign. We should genuinely have a threshold come the end of the season. If you don't hit that points tally, you get relegated again. Like, you genuinely get relegated from the Prem and the Championship at the same time. The thing is, I don't have anything in particular against Wolves. I quite like... This is going to sound really utter woke nonsense. I like the branding of Wolves. I think they've got a really cool badge. I love the fact they wear orange. Again, the Doritos kit back in the day with like Kenny Miller up front in the Prem was fun. I loved that as a kid. They bought well in the past, and we'll get on to that in a little bit. In fact, I can even defend them slightly in the fact they're actually supposed to have 13 points if you're looking at just XG for the season.
But I mean, I want an 11-inch penis. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I've seen the light. Sorry, no, they're finished. You know what's crazy, actually, that is not even remotely relevant whatsoever. This has got to be the least English bad team in Prem history. It might even be the least English team overall in Premier League history. Who they even got in the team? It's just Sam Johnston and Matt Doherty's obviously not English, but Sam Johnston and then Doherty's Irish. They ain't got any young English players breaking through. They've got no Premier League experienced English players. I know for a fact Nigel Farage will be glad to see the back of them with all these foreigners in the starting 11. Because whilst they're taking it to reform, one West African centre-back at a time, it's not much help for their fans who are watching them play like dinner ladies week in, week out. Yes, and Mosquera's already accepted his and Wolves' place in the Premier League when asked about it after the game.
You know, if that's my role, I'll take it. As long as I'm involved.
I know that Strand Larsen cannot be bothered with the scenario that he's in. He arrived, looked good last season in a team that was like semi-competent, and now he's down tools, bro. He's sacked this one off completely. He's not got the same energy when he sees Bellegarde launch a 67-yard pass over the top of their opponent's defence.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to chase after them?
This club genuinely sent their former manager insane, bro. Vitor Pereira started just scrapping with the fans. He was ready to jump into the crowd and kung fu kick people, bro. Just because of the sheer depression that this probably local area as well, to be honest, put him under. His Insta story upon leaving the club, I think, told the story. And if I'm the current manager, man, Rob Edwards, you have got a lot to do. Because this team can't score, it can't defend, it can't control games or progress the ball forward. Their goalkeeper's a wank. It's genuinely, it's over, legit. If I'm him, I'm getting out of there. I know he's barely unpacked his suitcase yet, but maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I'm not being harsh enough, honestly, on this Wolves team, right? They are on course to beat Derby's record. Derby had already won a game at this point. I think they had 6 points instead of the 2 that Wolves currently have at this stage in a season, so like 16 or so games in. So they are mathematically 3 times worse if we're looking at football purely from just a stats basis. But I think what's even more frustrating is this is a team that promised so much. Like if we look back a few seasons, they got 7th in back-to-back campaigns in the Prem. That is difficult. They qualified for Europe, as I mentioned. They went to like the quarterfinals of the Europa League. This is a team that had potential, that was on the rise, that could have been the centre point, the focal point really, of the entirety of the Midlands, West and East, at a time where other teams like Nottingham Forest were struggling, weren't even in the Prem. Leicester were kind of, were all right in fairness, although are kind of on a downward spiral, and Birmingham and Villa were in the Championship. So they did a good job to get them out of the dungeons of the Championship and kind of like the lower bottom half, which can be difficult to get out of, all the way to Europe in a few seasons. So what actually went wrong? Because that recruitment was pretty good, you know, from the season they got promoted in the Championship with ballers like Diogo Jota and Ruben Neves that were far too good for the Championship, if we're being real, scoring bangers left, right and centre and setting points tally records. What actually changed from that moment onwards? And I'm gonna be honest with you, it is just transfer strategy. In my opinion, I know this is going to sound like I'm really narrowing this down. There are other reasons in terms of people leaving the football club and positions changing. The long and short of it is, these guys are recruited absolutely horribly over the last 4 years. There is a reason why their trajectory has been solely downwards over the last 4 seasons in the Premier League, and it's because over time, they just continuously sell their best players without properly replacing them. Like, if we just solely look at some of the players that they have gotten rid of or sold that have gone on to bigger clubs or whatever in like the last, let's say, 5 years, okay? Ruben Neves left Wolves after like 3 years of crying at the end of the season. Finally did actually leave and went to Saudi Arabia. Diogo Jota left to go to Liverpool. Pedro Neto left to go to Chelsea. These were all over the last sort of 5 seasons, and then obviously even more recently, and this is just star players. I don't even mean players that are like top 4 in their squads. I mean like the best player arguably in their team at the point at which they were playing for Wolves. Of course, last season there was Mateus Cunha and Ryan Aït-Nouri. And back in the day, that was okay, right? I think they've looked at clubs like Brighton, like Bournemouth, who consistently sell a lot of good players, especially Brighton. Let's just focus on Brighton, actually, who would sell a Moises Caicedo and then replace him with a Belieber. Caicedo's even left. They've already got the next guy in that they're kind of waiting on. And that was fine for Wolves when they had this Portuguese connection. They don't use that anymore. The relationship between the owner and Jorge Mendes has soured a lot over kind of the last 5 years, and they are now getting packed in without Jorge Mendes' human trafficking scheme in the Prem. We'll look at the current squad in a second, but I want to actually, and the transfers from this season, but I actually want to go over and look at their transfers over the last like 3 seasons for you to fully understand how it has progressively just got worse and worse. 22-23, I think, is probably the last season where they actually bought good players. Like, they did a good job in a transfer window. Mateus Nunes came in for £47 million from Sporting, and Gonçalo Guedes came in again. Portuguese connection. They were heavily reliant on that at one point for bringing in good players. Nunes, of course, got flipped on to go to Manchester City. Nathan Collins also came in from Burnley. João Gomez, who's still at the club right now, came in from Flamengo. Wang Hee-chan was signed from Leipzig. Mario Lemina joined, and Craig Dawson joined as well from West Ham. But then they also did sign Diogo Costa, so maybe it wasn't all that good. So now we're on to 23-24, and Matheus Nunes is immediately flipped on. He goes to Manchester City for 62 mil. Ruben Neves leaves. Nathan Collins also leaves after 1 season to go to Brentford. It's Connor Cody. Raul Jimenez leaves as well. Daniel Podence, who was pretty good for them too. Adama Traore, of course, who was pretty impactful. Joao Moutinho leaves. There's a lot of players, right, that have gone. Some players for free, some players, you know, for actually pretty good fees, in fairness. In replacement, in comes Matheus Cunha, who joins for 50 mil from Atletico Madrid. You'd argue he's, I don't know, the forward output replacement. He's not the same player as Matheus Nunes, but I guess he just comes in to shore up that front three. Maybe he's an Adama replacement. In comes Jean-Ric Nabellegard, Santiago Bueno from Girona, Boubacar Traore, and a kid from Paraguay called Enzo Gonzalez, and where's he, bro? I've never seen this man in my life. He was 18 at the time. Did it work? He still plays for Wolves now. Fair enough. Okay, that's amazing. He has played exclusively for the under-21s this season. Cool. All right, well, I don't care that much in that case. What I'm trying to say is, you look at this squad here, none of these players here are players that actually contribute to Wolverhampton Wanderers on a weekly basis anymore. Matheus Cunha was there and they flipped him. Again, well done. But when you're selling more than one player, you've got to bring in more than one guy that you can flip on. I mean, even in terms of the ages here, you've got Matt Doherty, 31, coming in. You've got Bellegarde, 25. You'd argue he's probably should already be approaching his prime. Santiago Bueno, 24. Boubacar Traore, to be fair, is 21. A lot of the other players that came in are meant to be like already in their primes, which is not how Brighton and Bournemouth and teams like that operate. They bring in younger players that they can, you know, flip on. And Wolves were kind of doing that a little bit with the likes of Acuna or the likes of Matheus Nunes, but not very well, or not in terms of high numbers. Again, next season, now we're on to 24-25. In comes Andre. Was all right when he first joined. Agbadou, again, the same. Marshall Munetzi, Rodrigo Gomez, Sam Johnston. These are not great players. In a window where they sold Pedro Neto and Maximilian Kilman, there was no Pedro Neto replacement. That's one of your best players just left and they just didn't replace him. It's unbelievably infuriating to kind of watch, and I feel like they've kind of lazily looked at a lot of teams like Bournemouth and Brighton and Brentford as well that are really good at reselling players. It's hard to do. You're under pressure, but they're actually clubs that are data-driven, that have the systems in place. Wolves don't have that. They just go and find a guy that is a cheaper option because he plays in a slightly more obscure league and hope for the best. And that brings us on to the team kind of today. I mean, Matt Doherty in 2025, what are we doing? Bro was good on FPL 5 years ago. It doesn't mean you've got to go and sign John Lundstrom. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, pack your suitcase, bro. Put the fries in the bag. The Bueno twins, I'm convinced it's just one you. They just swap every time that they need a break or something. Wolf, that they've signed at left back, they've just signed him for branding purposes. I'm convinced. Wolf playing for Wolves. Loved that. Great job for the marketing team, but what's he bringing to the table? And this season, above even all else, some of these signings have been absolutely apocalyptic. All right, Arakadare, the striker they got from Genk, doesn't even look like he plays football. He genuinely looks like he might be playing like squash, badminton. He might be a 400-meter sprinter at best. And that's not even a category. You should stop sprinting at 400 meters, otherwise you're going to get tired. He's not a Premier League quality footballer. Neither is John Arias. And these are risks. Arakadare was, in fairness, doing numbers in Belgium. John Arias was not even really doing numbers in Brazil. You can't risk a signing all the time. At some stage, you've got to see Matheus Cunha, Ait Nouri, Pedro Neto, Jota, Neves leave and go, maybe we should sign a guy that's coming from a proven league or maybe even the Prem and replace the guys that have left with them instead. Not just a guy who's a bit of a punt from Colombia or a Don who had a good breakout season once in Belgium. 21 mil on Fer Lopez and he's not even playing from Celta Vigo. He looks all right. He started a bit slowly, but he looked good when he came on against Arsenal. I think there's a good player in there once he hits his potential. Wolves don't have that time to be fucking about. Their squad is relatively new. It's been assembled with a group of players that I don't think really any of them have been at the club for longer than 3 years. The only exception's probably Hwang Hee-chan, right? In terms of like he joined kind of a while ago, right? But the only two exceptions that look like they're Prem quality are Strand Larsen when he can be asked, and then Krejci, the Czech kid, he's not even their player. He's on loan, I'm pretty sure, from Spain. They don't sign Prem-proven footballers, guys. Like, there's a reason why when you look at Wolves' team, I would love to imagine, as a football content creator, I'm pretty locked in with football, okay? I don't get a chance to watch Wolves every week, yeah? There are maybe 4 memorable footballers in this Wolves team. And it's not because I vote reform and I don't get me. This is a newly assembled team of just randomly generated names, bro. There's no Premier League experience whatsoever. They they sign 6 players for the starting 11 every single season, and not one of them has ever played in the Prem before. The last player they genuinely had that was Prem proven, outside of, I guess, Matt Doherty, because he'd obviously played for Spurs and Wolves before, was Craig Dawson, and he left over the summer. Like, it's actually insane. If you continue to not replace your best players with players that are good as good as them, and you also then replace the players that were good enough for the Premier League with guys who have never played in the Prem before, that is the biggest recipe for disaster you could possibly imagine. Right, if you were selling star players and replacing them with a guy from Portugal and a guy from this league and that league and whatever, then fairs, because that sometimes happens again with the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth and stuff, yeah. But they then sell the players or lose the players that are kind of the backing track, that are strong enough, stable, do a good enough job to stay in the Prem. They replace those guys with players that have never played in the Prem as well. And maybe I'm overhamming Premier League experience, but when you've got an entire squad that just has barely ever played there, it's gonna end up coming back to bite you, because some of them are gonna be duds, if not a lot of them. You got people like Mario Lemina and Craig Dawson and Max Kilman. These guys were good enough to play in the Prem, and you replace them with the likes of Bellegarde and Wolf. The centre-backs have lost all known ability to defend as well, which is not helpful. Their goalkeeping situation is bad. It looks like they don't target specific things. It's like they lose a player and they go, right, who's the most underrated, cheapest option that we could get that maybe has upside to replace them? They don't target weak areas. Jose Sarr and Sam Johnston, neither of them are good enough to be in the Prem anymore. It doesn't help that some players that looked a little bit better with a better squad around them now also look terrible. I always quite liked that Toti Gomez guy. The whole back line looks apocalyptic now. They're not good signings, but they're also not signings that indicate you want to even stay in the league. And that's 100% backed by the fact they gave a manager who started the season as badly as he did in Vitor Pereira, whether he saved them last year or not. They started the season just as bad, if not worse, as they did last campaign, right? They see all that and give him a 3-year deal. Now, admittedly, I think they waived the amount they'd have to pay him if they then sacked him, right, as part of the contract. But that just doesn't even make any sense. That just shows, A, tone deafness to the situation that's going on at the football club. Your team's floundering. They're down at the bottom of the league. They're probably going to get relegated. You can't give your manager a new contract. It's like you're admitting defeat. It's like you're admitting you're going to be in the Championship next season. It's tone deaf. It shows a lack of understanding for the club's predicament completely. And it's just it's lack of total ambition as well. It's like you've settled for the debacle that you find yourself in. They've then sacked him and brought in Rob Edwards, who was doing a good job at Middlesbrough, but again, he's not Prem proven as a manager. He's not like gonna come in and rescue you off the bat. Like, he was in the Prem once with Luton, and whilst he did a decent job with that Luton team in the Prem, got relegated and then got sacked from Luton because they were doing so badly in the Championship afterwards. It's a lack of ambition when it comes to managerial situation, when it comes to recruitment, and whilst they are unlucky, I think the expected points tally has them like a couple places higher than they should be. I think they're supposed to have like 13 points this season based on XG, right? They wouldn't be in that position where they're giving up easy goals or they're not scoring easy chances if they'd actually improved the team properly in the areas that they should have done, aka in goal and up front. Strand Larsen is having a bad season after having a good season last year. That's unfortunate. They are still creating some chances that they should be scoring more of, but the goalkeeping situation was staring them right in the face. The centre-back situation was staring them right in the face. Losing Cunha and Ait Nouri was staring them right in the face. So whilst their points right now maybe are a bit harsh on, you know, the record tables and how bad they really are, they're a team devoid of any confidence whatsoever. You can see it. They barely progress the ball forward. A set of goalkeepers that can't catch a cold, and ultimately just overall a lack of quality in areas that matter. They're gonna go down. I hope everyone knows. I predicted this at the start of the season based on everything I've said. I didn't think it'd be this bad, because in truth, their team isn't that bad. There are some good players in there, like Joao Gomez, like Andre, who was getting a Brazil call-up like 9 months ago. Strand Larsen is a competent striker in the Prem if you put a good team around him. Wang Hee-chan could maybe do a job. Krejci, again, is okay as well. There's some good individual players there, but as a unit, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Actually, I probably look so exacerbated and frustrated in this video, and it's because I am. I'm trying to put myself in Wolves fans' shoes here. You've seen your team slowly decline and a lack of progression, a lack of ambition over 5 years to create what is probably the most predictable fall-off of all time, down to owners that got too confident, too big for their boots, that got a little bit, a lot complacent, decided, yeah, nah, we don't need stats, bro. We can just carry on signing unknown players and we'll sell them on for a little while and not do any research into who they are, whether they fit the profile of the team or the profile of the Premier League, and then just continue to be bad. So unlucky, man. Your recruitment team, the people that run the football club are incompetent. Unfortunately, it seems like he doesn't even want to sell the club, even if they go down. But I hope they do bounce back, because I like Wolves. As I said, I like Wolves as a club, as a brand. I know that's, again, woke nonsense, but what do you make of it? Wolves fans, I want to hear your thoughts. Premier League fans, I want to hear your thoughts, because this has the real potential to be record-breaking. I don't think it will. I think they'll pick up some points accidentally. Again, the stats show they're not quite as bad as the points would indicate, but it's dark, and I don't, with the quality as well, like, all it's taken is some decent teams getting promoted to actually get them relegated. Man, sorry, this has probably been a bit incoherent as a rant towards the end, because I hate owners that do this to football clubs, that just don't show any ambition. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Let's get this video to 6,000 likes, as I said earlier. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe for some more footballing content. Got plenty coming up over the Christmas period whilst things get busy. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. You can follow me on social media as well. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.